And so just a couple of recap things, John, that have really stood out for me from our conversation today. First of all, you said that a woman can't even fall in love unless her estrogen levels are at a certain level. So
Yep.
this balance, and you gave us some great examples of some things that a woman can do to support her estrogen levels, some of the things that she can do to fill up her life and feel good and get that 80% that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
That 80% happiness. And then you're also saying that if there's been a pattern of like some unhealthy attractions, like maybe chemistry-driven attractions that haven't gone so well, that the right man for you might actually be someone that you don't feel super attracted to in the beginning.
Physically attracted to.
Physically attracted to, but he treats you really well. He's into you. He wants to get to know you and put that effort in and that sort of thing. And I believe in those kind of situations, sometimes the attraction can grow for a woman, right? When she starts to feel and see how this man shows up for her over a period of time. Like, I think there's few things that are more sexy than a man that's really there for you over a period of time. Having
Right.
experienced that in my own marriage.
Yeah, we are so different as men and women in that way. Women start in the head, then they go to the heart when he does things for her. Conversation stimulates the mind, okay? With different points of view, but not trying to control me. And that's another dating skill. Always have different points of view from a man if you do. And you can fully and freely express them as long as you're not expressing them with the intention and the motivation to change his point of view. That's the whole dynamic. It's very refreshing to be with somebody who says, yeah, I have a different point of view on that one. I think like this, but I can see why you would say that. That makes sense. You don't have to agree with somebody. You don't have to have the same point of view. And actually, it's the fact that you're authentic makes you sexy, makes you attractive to someone, as well as you're different. That's why I stress the importance of women coming back to their female side, men coming back to their male side, and that finding their balance, because then you can have attraction. But if you're on your male side, you're not attractive to a man over time. Maybe right away you are, because there's a little trick here, which is when women are on their male side, they often are more open and liberal around sex. Okay, that's the male side, is let's goal-oriented, let's have sex. So you don't feel so vulnerable when you have sex. You see, more on your female side, you feel more vulnerable when you're having sex. It's vulnerability. So if you feel less vulnerability, it's kind of like you've got fake boobs. Hey, feel my boob. It's fake. It's not really me. So some women say, look, feel how good it is. Like, wait, I don't know. But, but your actual boob, and then you feel vulnerable. But it's a fake boob. Yeah, look at my boob. See how good it looks? Touch it. See? Feels good. So it doesn't have that same feeling of vulnerability. So when women are on their male side, many times, they don't have that vulnerability. They're more assertive. They know what they want. They go after what they want. And a shy guy will kind of go, she wants to have sex. I don't have to initiate it. She'll come to me. So you'll tend to, if you're on your male side, you'll tend to feel attraction to men who are more on their female side, but then you'll lose interest because they stay on their female side. Okay, you'll feel like their mother after a while. You'll start trying to control them and change them and so forth, and it won't feel good. That's what I hear a lot from women who get in these relationships. The man will become very passive. He won't make a commitment. He's not that interested, but he enjoys you being sexually aggressive. That's, every man deep down inside wants a woman to want him. Why? Because when a woman feels really safe and her estrogen levels shoot up really high, that's when you feel really safe and you feel I can depend on this person. Then at that point, your testosterone levels spike. Why is that? Because first of all, that's your biology. Whenever a woman ovulates, her testosterone spikes. Her estrogen goes to the highest level when she ovulates. Then the testosterone spikes to say, go out there and get pregnant. See? It's like, now I can be pregnant. Now I can go out there and get pregnant. But when that testosterone spikes, it doesn't lower her estrogen too low. It keeps it very high. It will lower it. Testosterone lowers estrogen. So when that testosterone spikes, her estrogen will start to come down a bit, but she's still at the high double level, 20 times higher than a man's when she has that climax. And her testosterone is not near close to a man's, but it's much higher than it normally is for her. And the studies show that. That's how you can know if a woman's ovulating, is you can see the hormones changing. So this is also, we are animals, okay? People have to get that. We have all these biological urges and attractions and feelings and needs and so forth. And then we've got this little person in the driver's seat right up here in our forehead. And he can be a pessimist or an optimist. And you can control that. First of all, you have no control over it if you're in a fight or flight response. So how do you get out of fight or flight responses? Flight or flight response will lower blood flow to the prefrontal cortex of the brain. And adrenaline will activate your pessimism or your optimism. But then when adrenaline turns into cortisol, it's a two-step process: little stress, big stress. Once it's big stress, then no blood flow goes to the front part of the brain, and you're just a conditioned animal. And you could say you're a human animal, because your conditioning came from your parents, what they did when they were stressed, but they learned what they did when they were stressed by what their parents did when they were stressed, who learned from their parents, who went to their parents, all the way back to when they were all monkeys. And so this is this tendency. It's all in all of us. We just have to see ourselves for what we are, but know that we're more than that. But we're only more than that when we have blood flow to the front part of the brain. And that's for women or men, where we're only 20% dependent on our partners for happiness. We can pretty much stay in that zone of I'm dependent on my level of happiness. And everybody's level of happiness, by the way, is different. We have a different set point of what our level of happiness is, which doesn't change unless you change it. And that's what there are things you can do to change it, which are my books on, and other courses and various things on healing the heart, healing the past traumas and healing that, and becoming more open and more loving and more receptive. But we're focusing mainly on dating skills today. On Wednesdays on Facebook Live, I talk about processes for healing the heart. Tuesdays, I talk about relationship skills. On Mondays, I talk about meditation. All these things I think are very, very important. Somebody said to me, "Why are you teaching meditation? You're such a good relationship teacher." And I said, "Because I can." And also I know that one of the gifts of having a healthy relationship and growing in love is the ability to not depend on your partner for your love. And one form of love is self-love, and that comes from inside. And meditation is one wonderful technique to forget your problems and go inside to a place which is, it's like going deep into the ocean. There's no longer any waves, but you're going deep into a stillness in your heart. And meditation for men and women is different. For women, ideally, it's a guided meditation with music, or in a group, a guided meditation in a group. And for men, it's often quiet, silence, completely forget everything. And then you can also do guided meditations for both men and women, because men are now more feminine. But when I learned meditation 50 years ago in India, you did it alone. You did it in the woods. You did it by the river. You did it quietly. It's the thing you do inside. And yoga classes, mostly women do yoga classes today, because you're doing it in a group and you're doing it to music and you have a leader telling you what to do. As a yogi, you go out in the woods, you do it yourself, nobody's bossing you around. You got one connection with the higher self. So meditation is also a really great thing for estrogen. The kind I just mentioned, guided meditations, are really good for women's estrogen levels. And learning yoga meditation technique, as well as exercise and weightlifting, all these things are good for testosterone.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that, John. And for the women that are listening and may not know about all of the things that you offer, is the very best place for them to go is to go to MarsVenus.com. Tell us how they can access these Facebook Lives and everything that you're talking about.
Well, you go to MarsVenus.com, and I do blogs, really well-produced blogs on relationships. One thing I want to mention for your group, which is my daughter, who's 34, she's a master of this, Lauren Gray. She does blogs there, but she also has an online 6-week course that women can check out. It's called How to Get Me Time. And she has a system called You Time, Me Time, We Time that she teaches in there. And maybe the title of it is a little misleading, because a lot of women who are single think, I have plenty of me time, that's all I have. And actually, you don't. What you want is to be in a relationship and balance the we time with your me time, and how to ask for help is a major part of this course. So eventually it will be retitled or redone just in terms of the title, which is The Feel Good Woman. That's what it's really about. But if you go online, it's a class that she teaches, 6-week class, how to get me time. Really, really good. And what she told me, well, I also participate sometimes in it too. And she said, it's amazing, Dad. You tell them this and then they don't do it. You tell them this and they do it wrong. So what you get is you get to see, instead you get all these quizzes and you get exercises to do. So that's a real work class to do, but it's really worthwhile. Highly recommend how to get more me time. And I don't know, I just started my new Facebook Live thing. So I think if you search John Gray MarsVenus on FaceTime, you'll see me. I do it Pacific time, 10 o'clock every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday is success principles and Friday is romance, dating, and sex. So we've talked a lot about dating today. So that's the kind of stuff I talk about on Friday and take people's questions and so forth. So it's a new thing for me. I hope everybody would join me there. That would be really fun.
That's great. It's wonderful you're doing that, John. It's so generous of you to be putting out that content on a daily basis. And I know because, you and I have been connected for the past few years, I'm on your email list and I see your emails come out about your Facebook Lives. And so I think if people go to your website and get on the email list, they'd start getting some notification as well.
Well, that's a great idea. Thanks for helping me answer that question. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And we're going to put links to your website and some of these things below this interview as well, because I want people to get the help that they need. And I've seen some of your daughter Lauren's video blogs and things like that, and she does a wonderful job. She's very charming and is also giving really, really fantastic advice. And so I do know, because I'm on the email list, that I receive those things. So I think that would be important for people that are listening to get on the email list, and then they would receive those notifications. So we'll definitely put links underneath this video that people are watching or listening from so that they have access to that. Or you can just go to marsvenus.com directly.
So one thing I want to say, I really enjoy doing your working with you. And I just did my second Facebook Live today. Okay, so today I asked for comments and questions and responses, and it just made my day. The first day I just gave this talk, and there wasn't anybody that I was hearing from. Nobody was writing any comments, or I didn't know where to find the comments. And I was just so bummed out afterwards. Normally I feel great after my presentations, and I realized it's this male thing, the male part of us, and also a female thing too, but needs to have feedback. So if anybody comes to my Facebook Live, please say hello, and you can ask questions, you can make comments, and it just means the world of difference to me. So if I'm helpful to you, please do that for me, and you'll get more from me. It's amazing to just see the difference of getting that feedback. And I just know if women could understand when they're in relationships with men, anytime it's truthful, to make a comment like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that was so helpful. Oh, when you say that, it makes me think of this and this and this, and I could do that. Anytime you can give a message to a man on a date where he says something and it opens your consciousness, your awareness to looking at the world differently and giving you, in a sense, you feel a positive response, articulate it. Because sometimes you think he doesn't need to hear it. That's a really key thing. And just as men often don't realize how much women need to hear, I love you, you're special, you're beautiful, hugging you, being attentive to you. The little things make a big difference. And men just don't know the power of that. And the flip side of that is women don't know the power of the little expressions and appreciations and comments that a woman can make. And it makes all the difference in terms of a male bonding with a woman and for her to feel her estrogen levels rising. So you give 50 roses to a woman with low estrogen, you might get a little tiny estrogen response. One rose will produce the same response. And then one rose many, many times will get you up to a healthy level where 50 roses or one rose has the same effect. See, that's the place of a woman being centered in herself. 80% of her happiness is within herself. And it's, at COVID, during the COVID time, there's so much unhappiness in some couples. Some couples are thriving in it because they have good communication skills. They know how to give each other space. They're not so needy or dependent on each other for their happiness, because the 80-20 rule is 80% of your happiness needs to come not dependent on your partner. Then your partner has the power to take you to 100 quite easily. And if you don't have your 80%, your partner, whatever they say or do, is just going to be dissatisfying. It's not going to be up to standard. And so then you feel resistance and resentments, and you lose your attraction to them. All these arguments and fights will start to happen. And so this is happening because couples are not understanding that. And a practical way to understand this is not that I have all these things in my life that make me happy. I have all these things in my life that might even be stressing me. But in that moment, I'm having to come back to a mindset that brings me happiness, or at least evenness. For example, I'm rushing to the airport and I have to say to myself, it's going to be okay. You have plenty of time. You see what I did just then? I'm being responsible for my happiness. Oh, now I have to wait in this long line. You'll get on the plane. Don't worry about it. You'll get there. Then you kind of go get on the plane. You go, oh, that person's got a better seat than me. And what a bummer. Why do they get that? And they go, oh, but I saved money by getting this seat. So we're constantly telling ourselves things all the time to come back to our state of happiness. We don't realize it, but this is our mindset all the time. We're doing this, taking responsibility to various degrees, depending on how happy you are as a person. Then you come to your partner. It's very easy to not project onto them blame or dissatisfaction. You're already in this habit of constantly taking responsibility, and you're at this happy level. Then what they say or do can make you happier. And if they don't say or do something, then you're in the habit of taking responsibility for your own happiness. This is such a powerful thing that can happen when we're not depending on our partner all the time for happiness. And during the COVID time, when people can't go out and go through all those little stresses of the day, constantly being stressed, having to come back, then you don't have that. Then you're just having all these stresses, and they're all about your partner. They're all about your house. They're all about your children. and we're so used to them being able to make us happier, we blame them. So anytime we're blaming our partner, we should realize we're kind of like drunk. We're out of balance. We're overreacting. It's not real. And then if we have arguments and fights, a bad part of your partner comes out, and often we think, oh, that's the real person. They showed me their true colors. No, they showed you who they become when they're out of balance. And that's not who they are.
So profound.
Yeah.
And this awareness that you're creating, John, with your work is so powerful, because instead of just kind of being in the monkey brain, we get to have a different level of awareness, so we can approach these situations and these communications from a place of choice, rather than just what the default setting might be.
Yeah, nicely said.
Yeah.
I have to tell you what I love about doing interviews with you, and not all interviewers do it, is you're able to sum up and point out the takeaways from what I say. It's very valuable to everyone listening and to me. Thank you.
Oh, John, thank you so much for saying that. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to share your wisdom and advice with the women out there, because I know over the years that I've been able to be in contact with you, it's made a huge difference for so many women. I've received so much wonderful feedback, and I really appreciate your generosity and the way you show up, because you always give so generously of the things that you know that you can share that make a difference in people's lives. So I just really respect that and appreciate that about you as well. And thank you so much for your kind words and generosity.
And I know you had 6 or 7 more questions. We can do that at another time. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you so much, John, and really appreciate your time and your generosity. And I wish you all the very best, and really appreciate the opportunity to connect again.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.